Simple takeaway. For decades, I believe baseball has supplemented its revenue by making money off every single cable subscriber, whether that person watched an inning of baseball or not. The way the old cable packages work, and the RSN, not just cable, this includes DirecTV and every other way people would bundle all of their services.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who had access to Root Sports, not watched it, had access to it, the Root Sports would get paid for that. That's what subscriber fees are, as opposed to viewer fees or ad revenue or anything else.
Yep.
And so baseball supplemented their audience, their revenue, with millions, tens of millions, probably hundreds of millions of people across the country who were subscribed but never watching. And so for years, baseball had an inflated revenue system where they were making money regardless of who watched the games.
Mm-hmm.
Things have changed. Cable has changed. DirecTV, satellite has changed. All of those things have changed. We don't need to go into that. If you live in the world today, you know what I'm talking about. And so now, moving forward, baseball is going to have to increasingly rely on baseball viewers only to try to reach the same revenue they had before. And I got news for them. That's never going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Never. But in the meantime, they are learning that if they want to come close, they need to have an actually compelling product.
Yep.
So the way I see it, and I could be wrong, but the way I see it from the outside is that this should be an enormous wake-up call for the Mariners and for any team in baseball, but right now for the Mariners, that what they're doing this offseason is not the right way to handle this. If you are changing from a model where you are being subsidized, so to speak, by non-baseball viewers, and you are only going to be receiving revenue or a larger percentage, because there's still some people, maybe it's been cut by 2/3, but you're still going to get some revenue. But you get my point.
Mm-hmm.
If the importance of your product is going to be more important than ever, how can you not invest in the product right now? I don't know what eventual model they will go to. If it's an over-the-air model, guess what's more important? Ratings. If it's a direct-to-consumer app or something like that type of a model like the Padres have used, guess what's more important? Let's say the Mariners say, okay, we're going to charge you $10 a month for a Watch the Mariners package on your phone, and you can use it on your TV, etc. Are you going to spend $10 a month, $20 a month, whatever the number is?
If the team's bad?
If the team, not just bad, if you don't feel like they're doing everything in their power to be great.
Right.
Simple answer. A lot less likely.
Mm-hmm.
And in a world in which that may be increasingly the way revenue is brought in, you have to invest in a product that makes people want to watch, view, invest themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how this is all going to go. Maybe the big spend is coming. Maybe there's a big moment where they realize that this is the direction they're going to go. And because this is, as I said, fluid and happening kind of quickly. But I don't know how you survive in an increasingly in a world that is increasingly based on your product and your actual viewers and how passionate they are, as opposed to the way it was before, where it was just how many people had cable.
Yeah, and I would be very careful to cut back on the product that you are presenting over there at Root as well. I know that may be the natural. We're taking this thing over. Oh my gosh, it costs us what? This camera costs what? This operator costs what? This technology costs what? Like, I don't think, until you're in the business, you have an idea of how expensive these things are to make a product look big, to make it look good.
Mm-hmm.
But if your answer is, oh, we got to cut, you know what you're going to look like? Totally chintzy.
Mm-hmm.
The viewer's going to tune in and go, what is this?
Right.
And this is not a shot at the Pac-12 network that's going to start losing employees in January, and it is awful, 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 awful. But compare and contrast through the years, the Pac-12 network and its product versus the SEC network versus the Big Ten network.
Yep.
Like you can't just cut good people.
Theory, Brock, they're not going to be the only ones dealing with, and that's what I think is so interesting. I mean, other than Yankees, Red Sox, Mets, Dodgers, maybe one or two other teams, this feels like it's going to be a reckoning throughout baseball. And that's where, Passan disagrees, and we'll find out kind of how truthful this all is. But this feels like a reckoning in the model throughout the game, and I do wonder if at some point you end up with 30 teams all pooling their TV revenue together and then spitting it back out the way the NFL does. Because the Yankees can refuse that and say no, 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 no. But at some point, when it's not that when all of the $140 million teams, which are in the middle, like the Mariners, become $60 million teams, like the A's and Rays, then what?
Yeah.
Right? When only 14, then you're going to run into a problem. And eventually, if they can't find a way to make this money back, salaries are going to go down, and eventually teams are going to fold. So, look, you're a long way away from that. I'm sure they will get stuff figured out. I don't mean to just present the doomsday scenario, but if I'm the Mariners, and if you hear nothing else today, and I know that there's going to be a system, a revenue model that is going to be increasingly reliant on the quality of the product because you need people to have passionate viewing habits. You need to invest in the product first and foremost.